How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best fighting type Pokemon to power up in Pokemon Go. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the undisputed winner of the fighting type category is going to be Mega Lucario. Some people might even argue that Mega Lucario is all that you need, and honestly, they wouldn't be too far off in that statement. So for the best moveset, you want to go with Force Palm plus Aura Spear. Force Palm is going to be a legacy moveset, so you will have to use an Elite Fast TM if you want to get it, but it is 100% worth it. There isn't really too much else to say about Mega Lucario. It is going to be the best of the best in the fighting type category. If you were able to get it, fantastic. If you weren't, well, hopefully during the next rotation. Now, Lucario just by itself in its non-mega form is also going to be an excellent Pokemon to use in the Rocket meta as well. Ideally, in this situation, you would want to unlock that secondary charge move and then add Power Up Punch to the move pool, so you would have Force Palm plus Aura Spear and Power Up Punch, and that combination is deadly when it comes down to Rocket battles. You build up a lot of momentum with Power Up Punch, and then you just annihilate anything in your way with Aura Spear. So we obviously know that Mega Lucario is going to be the best of the best, but what about the other fighting type Megas? So we have Mega Heracross, Mega Blaziken, Mega Gallade, and then finally Mega Lopunny. Now, Mega Gallade and Mega Lopunny are kind of on the lower tier side of this, so I wouldn't really invest resources into these Pokemon, but Mega Heracross and Mega Blaziken can definitely be something that you do invest into. Especially Mega Blaziken, because you can also use this as one of the top Fire-type Pokemon in the game as a Mega, so you can definitely alternate between the movesets. Alright, so Mega Pokemon out of the way, we actually have a lot of great options to talk about right now in terms of the regular pool, and then also the Shadow variants. So when it comes down to the best overall non-Mega fighting type attacker in the game, that is going to be Terrakion, with Double Kick plus Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword is going to be a legacy moveset, but it is 100% worth it for Terrakion. I mean, considering that it's not even like a Shadow Pokemon, and it's the best non-mega option in this category, that definitely says a lot. I invested into a lucky shiny Terrakion that I got a while ago, and I use this Pokemon all the time. We did also have Terrakion in raid battles with Sacred Sword during the Unova Tour back in February, so hopefully some of you guys were able to snag a few extras that you could lucky trade in the future. I definitely think this Pokemon is worth investing into, even looking forward into the future with potential power creeps. Terrakion is going to hold its place in the meta for quite some time. And again, like, it is going to be a lucky variant Pokemon that you could potentially get. Unlike the next option, which is going to be Shadow Conkeldurr, this is a Pokemon that you have to hunt from Rocket Grunts, and it is basically the number 2 option when it comes down to the non-megas. The major downside here is that while you won't have to use an Elite Charge TM, you are going to have to use a lot of Stardust because it is going to be a Shadow variant. Having all 3 of them together, which I currently do, man, that has allowed me to do some pretty awesome things in Pokemon Go. Like, I was actually able to solo a Mega Tyranitar raid. To be fair, Mega Lucario probably takes most of the credit there, but then again, having Terrakion and Shadow Conkeldurr as the second and third options definitely helped a lot. Terrakion is going to be a legendary Pokemon, and because Shadow Conkeldurr is a Shadow, you know, I'd probably take both of these to level 40 and then stop around there. Now, I do also want to give an honorable mention to Keldeo, which actually has the same stats as Terrakion, but this Pokemon is a mythical and it was only released one time, I believe, in Pokemon Go. And for the ideal moveset, you want to go with a Low Kick plus Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword on Keldeo isn't going to be a legacy moveset. It's more just if you have Keldeo, that's kind of the impressive part. But anyways, this Pokemon also ranks in the top 30 for the Open Master League right now, which makes it a really good Pokemon to build and eventually max out. Alright, next up, let's take a look at Shadow Machamp with Counter plus Dynamic Punch. This was one of the top fighting type attackers for a very long time. We do currently have Shadow Machop available in the Rocket Grunt rotation right now, and it's definitely a Pokemon I would still be hunting for, because you can also get it as a Shadow Shiny. Now, we do also have one more Shadow fighting type attacker I want to go over. That's going to be Shadow Hariyama, which evolves from Shadow Makuhita. Now, for this Pokemon, you want to go with Force Palm plus Dynamic Punch. Force Palm was recently added to the move pool for Hariyama, which is why it's a little bit better now than it once was. The only reason I would probably invest into this Pokemon is if you want something different. Otherwise, I would probably just hold off for a better IV spread on Shadow Conkeldurr or Shadow Machamp. The next 2 Pokemon that I want to go over are 2 that actually have dual functionality in both the Raid/Gym meta as well as in the Open Master League for PvP. The first Pokemon is going to be Marshadow with Counter plus Close Combat. This is going to also rank in the top 25 for the Open Master League, and this is a mythical Pokemon. we just recently had a special research where you could actually get Marshadow for free. Some players may have already gotten this during last year's Go Fest, so most players probably do have access to this right now. If you were lucky enough to get a good IV spread on your Marshadow, I do think it is worth building moving forward, and also a good Pokemon you might want to drop your Rare Candy XL into. The next Pokemon is going to be Urshifu, which evolves from Cubfu. I did just recently do a full analysis going over everything you could possibly need to know about this Pokemon over on my main channel, so I'm going to leave a link to that video in the top right hand corner right now. It'll also be linked in the description down below. I also wanted to mention Urshifu just because a lot of the other options that we've gone over so far are kind of difficult to get, right? I mean, you have Terrakion, that's going to be a legendary with a legacy moveset. You have a bunch of the shadows that we talked about. We have Keldeo, which is going to be a mythical that was only released one time in Pokemon Go. And then we also have Marshadow, which again, mythical Pokemon. So yeah, Urshifu overall, not exactly a bad pick to go with. It might even be your best option for many of you out there. Next up, I want to go over 2 budget options. Now these are actually pretty cool because for anybody out there who just felt like every Pokemon that I talked about so far was inaccessible, well, you have these guys, and trust me, this is going to be the best starting point that you can go with for fighting types. So we're going to have Conkeldurr as well as Machamp. Both of these Pokemon actually benefit from the Trade Evolution Candy discount, so let me explain how this works. When you trade Machop, you're going to have to still evolve it into Machoke for 25 candy, but when you evolve it all the way up into Machamp because it was traded, it is going to be free instead of 100 candy. The same thing is also true for Conkeldurr, so let's say you catch a Timber in the wild, you mirror trade that with somebody else, this is going to cost a bit more candy to evolve it into its second stage form Girder. It's going to be 50 candy instead of 25 like it normally would for a Machop. And the same could also be said when you evolve it into Conkeldurr, it's going to normally cost 200 candy, but if you traded that Pokemon, it's going to be free instead, which is, again, amazing. Timber is a pretty rare Pokemon to encounter in the wild, and we don't really get it featured during too many events, so it's more than likely you're going to build a team of 6 Machamp rather than a team of 6 Conkeldurr. But I suppose anything's possible depending on what kind of events we get moving forward. Now going back to the main strategy here, what you ideally want to do is you want to mirror trade a bunch of high-level Machop or high-level Timber, and then at that point you can just evolve them all the way up, spend 0 Stardust, and now you have a battle-ready team that is super good to use. So for newer or returning players out there, this is what I strongly recommend doing. Build out your fighting type raid team with these budget options, and then over time, as you get better options like the Pokemon that we talked about earlier, then start to replace those Machamp or Conkeldurr. So with that being said, that pretty much covers the best options you guys can go with for the raid/gym meta, but now let's take a look at a few good PvP options. So our first option is going to be Primeape, which is going to be relevant in the top 20 for the Open Great League and the top 20 for the Open Ultra League. An excellent Pokemon to build, but the only downside here is that it does require a double legacy moveset. You're going to have Karate Chop as a fast move and Rage Fist as a charge move. Now we do actually have an upcoming event in Pokemon Go called the Final Strike event. Depending on when you're watching this video, that event may have already passed, but during this event you can actually evolve your Mankey into Primeape to get Rage Fist for free. Now we do also have the evolution of Primeape, which is going to be Annihilate. Now this Pokemon is also really good to build. It's going to be in the top 100 for the Open Great League, the top 40 for the Open Ultra League, and the top 40 for the Open Master League. It's definitely an option you guys can also go with, but unfortunately during that Final Strike event, you will not be able to evolve it to get Rage Fist, but you can actually wait until December Community Day 2025 to evolve your Annihilate to get Rage Fist for free. Now the reason for this is because we actually had Mankey as a featured Calm Day Pokemon during last year, and during December you can evolve to get both the current year's Calm Day movesets as well as the previous year. The next Pokemon you might want to pay attention to is going to be Pangoro with Karate Chop plus Close Combat and Night Slash. This Pokemon currently ranks in the top 30 for the Open Great League and the top 50 for the Open Ultra League. Following that, we're going to have Medicham, which is going to be a super extra large Pokemon build for the Open Great League, but one that I strongly recommend building. Currently, the best moveset is going to be Psycho Cut plus Ice Punch and Dynamic Punch, but I would actually recommend running Power Up Punch on one of those movesets instead, just because, like, once you get those Power Up Punches going, Medicham is a complete beast. During the Final Strike event, we're also going to have access to Meditite in the wild, and it is going to be shiny boosted, so once again, I mean, if you guys are able to play during this event, take advantage of this Pokemon. The next two options are going to be ones that you have to actually mirror trade if you want to get a good IV spread for the Open Ultra League, but it is worth building them. The first one is going to be Cobalion, ranking in the top 30 for the Open Ultra League. I was actually lucky enough to get both Cobalion and Virizion, which we're about to talk about right now, with good IV spreads after trading them, so I'm pretty much set. I haven't actually built my Cobalion just yet, but I have built my Virizion, and that Pokemon is pretty fun to run. Like, they're both really good with their typings. Cobalion's going to be a Steel and Fighting type, and Virizion is going to be a Grass and Fighting type. Now, when it comes down to Virizion, this Pokemon is going to rank in the top 50 for the Open Ultra League, and you want to ideally go with Double Kick plus Leaf Blade and Sacred Sword. Now, finally, for our last Pokemon that I want to talk about in terms of PvP, we're going to have Zamazenta in its hero form. We are going to get the Crowned Shield form for Zamazenta, so I may be kind of cautious on actually building this, but currently Zamazenta does rank in the top 40 for the Open Master League. Now we do actually have one more Pokemon I want to talk about in this video, and that is going to be Gigantamax Machamp, which is going to be getting a raid day very soon in Pokemon Go. If you happen to miss this raid day, try and get this Pokemon through a lucky trade ideally, just because it is going to be one of the best Pokemon you guys can invest into moving forward in Pokemon Go. Gmax Machamp is going to be the best fighting type for the Max Battle format, and without a doubt, there is nothing that is even going to come close to this in the near future, or even in the far future, to be honest. When it comes down to upgrading the max moves, I would definitely focus on upgrading the max attack all the way to level 3. You don't really have to upgrade the max heal or even the max defense. I mean, you can definitely upgrade the max defense if you want to, but Gmax Machamp is just going to be used as a fighting type attacker, not so much as a tank or a healer. Otherwise, that pretty much covers the best fighting type Pokemon you can currently power up in Pokemon Go. If you still want to check out some more content, I'm going to recommend these videos next.